7323. Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing. Visit them online at HewittTire.com. On Airport Road in Panama City. 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and Hometown Towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
WPLQ Port St. Joe, WGSX, powered by Panama City Toyota.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's begin.
Trip. The Afternoon Underdog Trip. Live and local. Inside the Doghouse.
Unleash the Dragon.
On the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What is going on with you, Northwest Florida? You're now riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 right here in the beautiful area of Panama City and 101.9 in the just as beautiful Port St. Joe. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and Bone Crusher on the ones and twos here. We're taking your phone calls this afternoon at 850-215-6290 as you listen to ESPN Northwest Florida, which is your spot for select Orlando Magic games. And for the first time this year, we're going to be playing a Orlando Magic game, which is the Magic and the 76ers.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll probably lose.
Joel Embiid, who's going to lose?
Sixers probably.
Sixers, yeah. No Joel Embiid. Paul George has been...
Paul George in it?
Yeah, I mean,
Not playing.
For the most part, yeah. It's like, hey, these days if you're an NBA player, it's 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And is there anything wrong with that? Well, depends on how you look at it. For me, yeah, absolutely. My friend, like, we're saving you for the playoffs that we might not even win in? Like, no, come on. Help me sell some tickets, dog.
Well, that's the thing, too. Like, a lot of fans were upset because Embiid and Paul George did not start the season. Mm-hmm. No news of that. Sixers didn't announce that or anything. And then, you go out to go watch the first game of the season. Lo and behold, some people you thought were going to be on the court aren't out there. They're in street clothes on the bench. So, yeah, I think that's kind of sketchy. But it's coming from Daryl Morey. What else do you expect?
It would be really hard for me if I was, let's say I want to go down there to Orlando to check out an Indiana Pacers Orlando Magic game. And, one of my favorite players, let's just say Tyrese Halliburton is not going to play because on Thursday night they just so happen to play the Miami Heat down in Miami. But, God forbid you play 2 games in a row in the NBA. It's like, we've all played basketball before, right? We've played 2 days in a row. Can you believe it?
Yeah, right.
I'll give you one sport that really your body, takes a little bit too much to play more than once a weekend.
Football. I mean,
easy.
Don't even say football. I mean, hockey. Hockey players sometimes will play 3 games in 4 nights.
Get into that debate.
And that game's a lot more, physical and, bodies hitting than in basketball. And those guys get out there, and not only that, they beat each other in the face. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, basketball players are soft nowadays. They've been soft for a while.
It's possibly the softest sport out there, and that's the sport that we talk about, load management. That's the sport that load management comes from. Like, it's kind of wild. Yeah. It is kind of wild, and I think that's why, the NBA, for most people, has become a little bit tougher to really invest into. And I don't even mean financially. I mean giving your time to watching the sport. And that kind of stinks because growing up, it was one of my favorite sports, especially when you talk about the collecting side of it. Like, the NBA has such an opportunity, and I think they do a great job of marketing their stars. But my goodness, man, it stinks when, and then not only that, then you actually watch the product that they put out there on the court, and you're like, okay, anyone can go out there and just heave up shots from the 3-point line.
Investing is a good word because, again, like how we mentioned, how you might want to go see a game and you might not see a player that you want to watch.
Right.
So why would you want to, quote, invest in tickets to a game where, especially some of these teams, depending on which city you live in, yeah, maybe the product there week in, week out, all season long is not a great product, right? But you want to, watch some of the stars of the league. You want to, watch when the Nuggets, come to town, so you can see Jokic, or you might want to see, the Bucks, so you can see Giannis, or just whoever your favorite player might be. But then lo and behold, you buy tickets for your kid or for yourself or whomever for a game that's 3 months from now. Game time comes around, you don't even care if you're going because the whole reason why you're there, the person's not playing. You got a bunch of, bench players out there, and it takes away a lot of the luster, So now you've paid, sometimes maybe $300 for some seats.
Yeah.
And the product that you're watching at's really subpar.
Oh, man, $300 for some seats there for some NBA tickets. Which is a fair price.
Regular season NBA game tickets can cost more than sometimes than playoff football tickets and such.
No,
in
not
hockey.
the NFL.
Yes. Case in point, I had a buddy of mine back in 2017. He went to the NFC Championship game, okay? Eagles and Vikings in the link, okay, in Philadelphia. That same weekend, the Sixers happened to be playing as well, and he got tickets to the Sixers game as well. His Sixer tickets were more than his Eagle tickets.
No.
Yes.
I'm not saying
this is Philly, though.
Yeah, right.
It depends on the city. Like we've seen before, like when the Phillies were in the World Series, it was cheaper for a Philly fan to fly from Philly
to Arizona.
To San Diego or something like that in order to watch a game and pay all those fees and air tickets that it would be to get tickets at home because of the ticket prices going through the roof because of the demand.
And that's sensical. As looking at how much of a sports watching laden city Philly is, right? Like it's really cool, and it just goes to show how great of a fan base the Philadelphia franchises have. Like, be it the Flyers, be it and that would is that the bottom of the barrel? Like in Philly, like if you rank, you're a Philly guy all the way around, right? All of your teams are Philadelphia teams. If you were to rank how you feel the city feels about the teams in order of importance, 1 to 4, right?
At the moment, I would say it's the Flyers are probably at the bottom, and it's probably lack of success as well. Team's been playing really subpar and been very poor for quite a while now. Actually, to the point where for the first time in quite a while, about a season and a half ago, fans were actually boycotting and not going to games just to show hey, we're not happy with the product out here, which doesn't happen very often. And then I would say probably the Sixers. And then after that, I would probably say, because of right now, you do Phillies and then Eagles just because of its football season.
What time we're at.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Because if we're talking about April,
this was
May.
Or July, August or something, of course, the Philly would be up on top.
And then once September creeps in, then it's
probably 50. It depends on the state of the Phillies.
Right. So let's say that we're at the end of September, and the Phillies, last year was a Braves type year for the Philadelphia Phillies. How do you think that correlates with the fandom? Are they more focused on playoff baseball than they are the new season? Because you know how it goes. With baseball, the month of April, that first week in April, opening day is the most popular time of the year for baseball franchises. Is it that same way for the Philadelphia Philly fans at the end of the year when their Eagles are starting the new football season or making that playoff push?
I would say it's the same. Same as anything else. You being a fan of multiple team sports and what have you, paying attention to something that's a little bit more pertinent right now, like football, being it's playoff time is getting close. It's that crunch time.
Really got to.
So you're not going to pay attention to something like basketball right now at the moment. You'll wait till maybe after the new year or something like that,
March.
or February or something. Yeah, to start worrying about that. But the other stuff's already kind of over with, the football, baseball is about ready to get started yet, but still not really kicking off. So that's what's going into high gear. So you'll pay attention to basketball then. So kind of the same thing. Baseball is hot right now. Playoffs are going on or about to. So of course there's going to be a little bit more onus, a little bit more attention on what matters at the moment, which is the playoffs and trying to win a championship. Early on in the season, look at the Eagles too. Started off winning game 1. Between games 1 and 4, we didn't play so great. We were 2-2, I think, going through there. So, yeah, you might have seen like a little slow start to the beginning of the season until we got our legs up underneath us for lack of a pun now that the way Saquon's been running.
Hey, there you go, man. Hey, how about for you guys out there? 850-215-6290. Text in the order of your fandom. How would you rank the teams for yourself? So for me, I'll say it. We'll add in college football. For me, it would be at the bottom of the barrel would be the Indiana Pacers. I'll even go a step further. I would say Alabama college basketball, then the Indiana Pacers. That's 6'5". Let's see. Coming in next would be. Oh man, I got hockey so high on the list, man. Just because after going to games, you have to have them up there.
Tennessee Titans, which are wearing next? State of the team? I don't know.
If
franchise.
Number one easily is Alabama because there's nothing that really pulls
football.
at Alabama football. Nothing really tugs at my heartstrings like the same way with them. Like, you get used to losing as a Tennessee Titans fan, so it's like, all right, whatever. This is what we're dealing with. So after Alabama football, then I would go Tennessee Titans because, yes, football is king. Then it would go Atlanta Braves, Tampa Bay Lightning. That would be it, right?
Yeah, and that'd be your list, and then you got your 5 and 6 that you've already mentioned.
What about for you?
For me, first right now, I guess you got to go, Eagles football. Just the run that we're having if you're going in the moment. Normally I would pick, hockey number 2. But like I said, the state of my Flyers hasn't been so great. I've been not so happy with the way things have been going. I'm not going to give them full support. Matter of fact, I've been purposely not wearing some of the stuff just because of just the state that they're in and where my head's at. So I guess I'll go Philly second. And then, I don't know, I'll do Flyers third, and I'll do the Sixers fourth. The Sixers right now, too, as bad as the Flyers, have been in the recent past, at least they're putting a product out there. They're trying. They're not, pulling the wool over the fans' faces, by not putting a product out there, not, lying about who's going to be out there on the ice. So because of that and the previous history that I guess the Sixers have had with some issues with the process and things tanking of that nature, I'll put them at the bottom.
There you go. I'd love to hear your guys' list. Rank them for me, 850-215-6290. In what order do you love your favorite teams? No one sit here and lie to me and say that you love them all the same, because that is just not true. Even if you got kids out
that's
there,
like
right?
your kids, right?
Kid,
You're not going to say something about it probably, but you might have your favorites.
Well, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., you'll be tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida for the Big 12 Championship. That'll be Iowa State versus Arizona State. Then following that game will be the SEC Championship, which will feature Georgia and Texas, which is going to be a great game. I really do believe that. And then finally wrapping up Saturday evening will be the ACC Championship, which will feature Clemson versus SMU. And if you're an Alabama fan, you are pulling for SMU just as if they were the Alabama Crimson Tide. 850-215-6290 is the number to call this afternoon. Caveman Rick. All right. Packers Lions. Did you get were you able to get your eyes on that game last night?
I got my eyes on a little bit of the game. I'll be honest. I didn't watch the whole thing in a whole lot of detail. I was hoping for the Packers to win. It was looking like it towards the end. I was really hoping for it, but you got Dan Campbell, man, not afraid to go for it on, third and fourth downs. Yeah. So keeping in tune with what kind of a coach he is and what kind of a team he puts out there, them going for it. Made a couple big plays in some crucial times. It was able to get a late field goal in the waning moments in order to win the game. So I guess good for them. But big ups to the Green Bay Packers. They showed some guts out there, even after kind of I don't say boneheaded. I got picked up Christian Watson right for fantasy this week. Had some people on bye. So hoping he'd have a great night, and it was okay, but giving up ball, fumbling, trying to make a play, things like that didn't go so well. But all in all, Packers showed why they're going to be a problem for some teams probably come playoff time, especially playing in Green Bay if they get a home field game there. And I might not want to play them.
Do you think? I think that's the lone team. Your Philadelphia Eagles are the. I don't want to say
we already
lone.
beat them once,
right.
week 1, but
I don't think that the lone team, but I think that the Eagles are just a matchup nightmare, honestly, for the Detroit Lions.
It was same team. I mean, we run the ball just like they do, run it down your throat. Got some good weapons at wide receiver. Pretty good.
Who do we
defense.
trust more, Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts? Now, for you, I think that's a biased answer to where you go straight to Jalen Hurts, but. I think that I would trust Jared Goff a little bit more, but I think that, and this is wild, I think Dan Campbell's a better coach than Nick Sirianni overall, but I would trust Sirianni in big game situations more so than I would Dan Campbell.
The way I look at it is you got to show me. I mean, I hate to say it, Detroit fans out there, sorry, Michigan Eddie, but I mean, this team's been an exercise in futility for my whole entire lifetime, Never really had any shows of flashes of greatness. I remember one time, I want to say, man, was it back in 95? They played the Eagles in the playoffs. I think it was in the wild card round, if I'm not mistaken. We were up on them, like, big time, like 38 to might have been 7 or something like that, something crazy. And then ended up scoring some points in garbage time, but something 85, 90 points scored in that game, which is kind of nuts. And I remember that being kind of an anomaly that year, thinking wow, where did this come from? They're in the playoffs. They kind of, we got a good head start on them, but then actually showing a little bit of some guts in the second half, right? And since then, haven't seen a whole lot out of them. So until they can actually maybe get to the Super Bowl and actually, get close to winning something, I'm always going to think that, teams like that just kind of have it in their DNA and they're just not going to get over that hump,
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. The playoffs I think are going to be a lot of fun this year, but they're a lot of fun every year. And, we've got the college football playoffs just around the corner. That'll be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. The first game will be Friday, December 20th, and that will be right here on our air. Excited for that. And playoff football just brings, the tenacity, the intensity ups to a whole entirely different level there. Who's the best team in the NFL right now? If we take the Chiefs out of the equation, give me the best team from the NFC and the best team from the AFC in your opinion.
I'll start in the AFC, and I wouldn't even put the Chiefs as the best team in the AFC. Right now, I really think the best team is probably the Ravens, in my mind anyways. As far as being able to put points up on the board, being able on all facets of the game to play pretty well, I just like the way that they're, doing stuff, the way they're running the ball, the way they're, utilizing, Lamar. He's not relying on, running all the time. He can, sit in the pocket if he needs to. Defense is still pretty good. So for the AFC, I would say, yeah, give me the Ravens. Chiefs, I mean, they've been living life just by the skin of their teeth. Barry could easily have lost 4 or 5 games, I think, this season, if it wasn't for a beneficial flag or somebody just missing a field goal in the last couple seconds of a game. So they just gotten really lucky and benefited a lot from other people's mistakes and not from their own so much. And then from the NFC, I know a lot of people are still high on Detroit. They got the best record. I don't care about the best record. I care about the best team. I got the best team. I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles. I think, offense, defense, special teams, offensive line, defensive line, wide receivers. Yeah, we don't have 2 running backs like Gibbs and Montgomery, but I mean, hey, Saquon and whoever else you want to pair with him is going to be pretty good, whether we got Gainwell or whoever else we want to utilize. So I'm going to say that I think our team's actually the best. We've got a great young, youth of players on the defensive side of the ball too, both at places like, at the D-line, linebacker, and in the secondary. So, hands down, I think the Eagles got the best roster. So, in my mind, they're the best team. Hopefully, that'll show in the end of the season, though.
Yeah, Cleveland Brad just texted in. He said the Ravens who lost to the Browns, the losing to the Browns Ravens as the best team. I mean, I'm right there.
Can't win them all.
I'm not going to say that the Ravens are the best team, but I think they are. They have the. opportunity to be, no, I think they are the most dangerous team. They could be the most dangerous team. I don't think that they're the best team. I think that the Chiefs are still the best team, regardless of how anyone wants to look at it, regardless of your thoughts on, the referees bailing them out or any of that good stuff. But I'll choose another one since I said, let's go with someone not named the Kansas City Chiefs. Cleveland Brad went with the Buffalo Bills. I think that that's a great pick there. What about, losing to the Browns, right? It seems to be a common theme for all of the teams in the AFC North because the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are sitting there at 9-3, also lost to those Cleveland Browns. I'll say that the best team, you know what? I've been against Russell Wilson. Not against, but everyone's, let Russ cook. And his final, 2 or 3 years there in Seattle he wasn't cooking. That wasn't him.
That was all defense.
Really, it was a lot of his defense, and they had a great run game to pair along with that, which helped him be able to cook. For me, I'll say those Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that they're actually going to end up being the best team in the AFC? No, but for right now, it'll be fun just because I haven't been on that rush train, and, you can't really take anything away from what Russell Wilson is doing this year. And again, Mike Tomlin just finds his Steelers with the ability to stay above 500 play in the National Football League, which there's something to be said about that. On the NFC side of things, I think I have to agree with you, Caveman Rick. Like, the Detroit Lions are the most fun team in football. I think just because of their brand, and then seeing 12-1 go along with that, then you have the whole Sonic and Knuckles thing with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. You've got Jared Goff playing really good football as well. You've got a fun receiving core, good tight ends over there, and a great defense to pair along with that. I think the Lions are the most fun team in the NFL, but I think that the Eagles are the best, wow, New York Football Giants, and shame on you for doing what you've done to us by adding or letting Saquon Barkley a way for him to become a Philadelphia Eagle. And first week they absolutely utilized him correctly, and then it was like the next two, maybe next 2 weeks.
It was about week 4, week 5.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden he just exploded, and you're like, all right, yeah, this is we did not want this. The rest of the National Football League didn't win it, but we'll see. Will they be able to keep their head on straight and underneath the leadership of Nick Sirianni?
I just think we're our worst enemy. If anybody's going to stop us, it'll probably be ourselves. We'll implode. I think that's going to be our biggest problem, is making sure that we just keep the train rolling. One thing, it's been great. I don't want to necessarily cut, Saquon short. He's got a chance of winning MVP. Hell, he's got a chance of getting the season's single, season rushing record right now if he kind of keeps up on the pace that he's going, right? I don't care about that. I want to see Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
So if we need to rest him up, if we need to not utilize him so much, if we need to sit him the first half. Second half is when he's really been cashing in, right? Maybe let Kenneth Gainwell run the first half, a lot. Let the offensive line push around the defensive line or whoever we're playing, right? Get them worn down, and then let's take one come in the second half when it's a lot easier and the defense is a lot softer, and let them just run some, and have a little bit easier time. That way, maybe keeps the legs more fresh for playoff time.
James says, as a Dolphins fan, it pains him to say that the Bills have to be the best team in the AFC. Cleveland Brad says Browns have a winning record in the North since Stefanski, and that's crazy. And last year they had a wild defense. They were using quarterback after quarterback after quarterback and still coming away with wins. And then who got the comeback player of the year last year? Joe Flacco.
And Bills, I can see where people might want to say that, and they're the trendy pick right now. And yes, they have a pretty good record, and they have beaten the Chiefs, but a complete team, do you really think that the Bills have it all around in order, come playoff time, to seal the deal? And that's what I just don't see it.
Well, hey, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we return, and we'll take your phone calls as well. 850-215-6290. Are the Bills a complete team? Can they win the whole shebang? More after these commercials.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The magic plays here.
Tonight, we're going to take you to the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia as the surging Orlando Magic play the struggling 76ers. Tip-off coming up tonight at 6. We'll have live play-by-play for you right here on your spot for the Orlando Magic.
Your new home for select Orlando Magic games. The NBA is on. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, mostly clear and a temperature 54 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the north-northeast. Mostly clear skies tonight, a brisk wind and above freezing near 39. Mostly sunny and 60 tomorrow. 67 and some sun with a light breeze Sunday. Monday, light sprinkles and a temperature a little warmer at 75. This is your Friday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay-down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
And we are back, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're your home for the Coach James Hale Show in the morning. You can listen to that weekdays right here on ESPN Northwest Florida from 7 to 9 in the morning. Following that, weekdays is the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley. Don't forget, we've got the Magic and the 76ers this evening, and we are going to be sending a busload of sports fanatics to the Kia Center in Orlando for the ultimate road trip. You just need to download the ESPN Northwest Florida app and keep listening for details. It'll be the Orlando Magic versus the Sacramento Kings. That date will be Saturday, March 29th. We're taking your phone calls and your texts this afternoon at 850-215-6290. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher, and we left off talking about the Buffalo Bills and are they a complete enough team to win the penultimate object in the National Football League, which is the Lombardi Trophy, winning the Super Bowl there. Here's the thing for me with the Bills is they've done it without names, right? They don't have, like, okay, they got Amari Cooper.
Done what, though, without names?
They're 10-2, right?
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like again, it's kind of like the Lions. Like, okay, so Bills 4 times, AFC champs, go to the Super Bowl, lose them all.
Right,
and show me something.
Do they get over the hump? I don't know about that.
Those teams were way better than this team.
The hump is the Chiefs. That's the hump for everyone in the National Football League.
And that's one team. Okay, so in the 90s, and I know we're talking different eras,
right?
It was 3 teams from the NFC East. It was Cowboys twice, Redskins once, Giants once. It wasn't even one team. And I'm saying that team then was light years better than this team is now.
Yeah, I mean...
with the talent and just, you know what I'm saying?
Right, so. But I think for me is like... all that the Buffalo Bills have lost, all that they've lost, and going into this year, for me, the reason why it's hard to count them out is because going into the season, it was like the Bills are going to be trashed. They're not going to be a team really to even, they're not going to win the AFC East, and they've already clinched the AFC East. They've done a really good job, and I think Josh Allen, is a huge part behind that. Does that mean that I think that they're a good enough team all around to win the whole thing? No, I don't. I think we're going to see our first three-peat in National Football history, in National Football League history.
Lord, I hope not.
I know that that's not what we want. I don't think any of us want that, but I think that that's what we're going to be getting, man, because the truth of the matter is Patrick Mahomes, waits until the post. It's like load management, except for he's playing and he just like manages, he bides his time until the playoffs, and then all of a sudden, like this year, what's he got? 16 interceptions, I believe. 27 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, a little over 3,000 yards. I mean, he's not playing great. He's not playing wonderful, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going. That's the old cliche, right? And that is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that the Bills, though, if there's a team that could take care of business against them, it might be the Bills, but that's also going to be dependent upon, are they going to play in Buffalo or are they going to play in Arrowhead? And right now, the way things are lining up, where is the road going through?
It really shouldn't matter. Both places are kind of kind of the same. Bills go to, Arrowhead, vice versa. The Chiefs going to like Orchard Park or whatever they're calling that stadium now over in Buffalo. 6-1, half a dozen the other, as far as weather, fan base, all that kind. You know what I mean? So I don't think there's a big advantage, if you will, one way or the other in that sense, depending on where they're playing.
Yeah, but there's still not only do you get the weather, but then when you have your home crowd with you as well, like there's that home field advantage. Definitely, like Philly's got that. Kansas City absolutely has that. Buffalo has that. I think that helps, and even more so to the 10th degree.
Buffalo, if you take it out on like 8-9-year-old little kids just recovering from traumatic experiences.
Oh, James says zebras for 3 straight.
Yeah, I could kind of like see that too. I mean, there again, you could say that. Yeah, they got a really good record this year, but 4 or 5 games there this year could have went the other way. So I mean, in a long enough timeline, you walk that line and walking that ledge, you're going to fall off the ledge, right? So hopefully it happens.
Depending on if you got really good balance or not, I guess.
Hopefully it happens at the right time and they get eliminated. We'll see what happens.
Michigan State Bruce says, when does the Philly fall apart start?
It doesn't start.
What's different about this year, do you think?
What's different? I mean,
because it started last year, week 11,
Week
right?
11, we had, 10-1 basically, and then we got, after that, the wheels started falling off. I mean, you had like the situation with, it was like Big Dom. You have, some issues that were creeping up apparently with, Hurts and Sirianni, I guess, or something like that. I don't know. I mean, everything seems fine now. What did we say earlier in the season, too? Winning, cures a lot of stuff.
Winning's the best deodorant.
It's a very good deodorant. We got Saquon now, before last year, he started out with 2 different, coordinators that seemed to like really, be on the same page. Nothing was really clicking. We got the same thing kind of going this year with 2 new coordinators again with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, but it seems like they're utilizing things a little bit differently. Maybe Sirianni's kind of taking a step back a little bit, maybe not being so much of a micromanager. I don't know if that had something to do with it too, perhaps. But one thing I'm a little bit worried about is, man, as good as the Eagles are doing this season, I don't want to see my coordinators getting poached this offseason.
Oh, yeah? Do you think, who is it? Case Keenum? That's y'all's...
No, Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore.
He was from Dallas.
He was over there.
And then he was the quarterback over there at Boise State.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty good now.
And, he's got to be happy for his Boise State Broncos, who are in a position to win, and they're in, and they're playing this evening.
If it happens again, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, they need to sit down. And they'd be like, look, we're going to bring anybody to this team. Any coordinators, all right? They get hired, it's in the deal.
3 years.
I was going to say, if you want to go someplace, compensation.
Yeah.
We're getting something because we ain't doing this no more. We're not bringing guys in for a season, have a great season, and then they go and find a better job or what's assumed to be a better job. They get a boatload of money or whatever, a guaranteed contract, and they weren't the right guy for the job because just because you're a great offensive coordinator or you had one good season doesn't mean you're going to be a great head coach. Case in point, we're talking about some news today, something I saw. UCLA, UCLA, got rid of first-year OC, Eric Bieniemy.
Oh, yeah, I did see Eric Bieniemy is.
So, like, what's up with that guy, man? He's either got to have, like, a really bad attitude or really just has to be, like, trying to, like, take other people's jobs around him or something because, man, that guy's one hell of an OC, but he just like, seems to just, can't get the head coaching gig, or be the head guy anywhere yet.
Yeah, no, that's, there was every year, I think there was discussion, is Eric Bieniemy going to be, hired as a head coach? And then every year there was, there's got to be something from his past. And then when you only get 1 year, was it only 1 year though?
That's what I've seen. That's what I read. And like, here's the thing too, you see all these other coordinators, like I'm talking about like dudes from Eagles last year, like Shane Steichen and Gannon, moving on after one season and having one quote good year, So it makes you kind of wonder, why are these guys get to move on and do that? But this one guy that's had all these opportunities, all these interviews, has been a hot ticket, like head coach, hot commodity, blue chip kind of prospect, if you will, doesn't get it. There's got to be something there, I guess.
Yeah, no, there absolutely is. We're witnessing him not being able to get the job, and then in the collegiate level, at a place like UCLA, if you can only last one season, there's got to be something there behind the scenes that just doesn't bode well for his chances of ever becoming a head coach, unless he wants to go maybe to the high school level and build from there,
or go to some directional school.
Yeah, there you go. And that's also a pretty good point there, Caveman Rick. James says, if Saquon goes down like in the past, are the Eagles still the best in the NFC? My quick answer for that, James, would be absolutely not. I think that it automatically goes to the Lions, and there's a case to be made for the Lions, Eagles. Really, outside of that, though, in the NFC, who's another team that can take that?
I mean, Minnesota, Green Bay, that division's pretty good. Both those teams have good, decent, records.
That's really
only a few losses.
it, though. I mean, you got the Eagles at 10-2. Next best team in the East is the Commanders at 8-5. You've got the Lions at 12-1. You've got the Vikings at 10-2. Packers at 9-4. They were 9-3 prior to last night. And then the Falcons, that division is all 500 or worse. And then the NFC West, 7-5 is your leader there with the Seattle Seahawks. So it's Lions, Vikings, or Eagles. And again, if Saquon goes down, then I would say it is undisputable that it's the Lions, but I don't even know if that's disputable or not, because
I guess we have to wait and see how Kellen Moore utilizes the rest of the offense without Saquon.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's the only fair answer I could give. But yes, if he was to go down and we were to lose that offensive punch, those yards that he can get for us, well, any team would be hurting if you lost Saquon Barkley. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's start going through some of these NFL games before we dive into some of the college football games. We'll make our picks at some point in time during the show, and we might not even do that. We never even got to it yesterday on the show. We never got to our picks yesterday, but Steelers and the Browns. Here's a little stat to know for this game. Cleveland hasn't swept the regular season series with Pittsburgh since 1988, and they're looking to win 3 straight. So they won their final game last year. They won the first game this year. They're looking to win 3 straight for the first time since a 7-game winning streak from 1986 to 1989. Do you think that the Browns get it done against the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, now you're giving me that history. No. Hell no. Matter of fact, it's the Browns, right? Steelers have been pretty much the epitome of consistency in the NFL for quite a long time, right? So I don't think, why would it change now? Jameis has been, playing okay, through almost for 500 yards last weekend, but still didn't win the game, So, all that being said, I think the Steelers are playing at home too. Yeah, give me the Steelers. The Browns had, their big wins the last couple weeks, or not last couple weeks. They lost last week, a big win a couple weeks ago, when they, took down the Ravens. So, I don't see it happening. Give me the Steelers in that one.
There you go. The Steelers are a 6.5-point favorite, total sitting at 43.5. And a nice little storyline to watch in that game. The Steelers lead the league with 25 takeaways, and they had 3 in that first game against the Browns. In that game, though, the Steelers only got 7 points off those takeaways.
Yeah, it was lots of field goals in that game, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 5 games this year for Jameis Winston as a starting quarterback. He's thrown 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He's been praying to the Lord to deliver him from pick sixes.
I don't think it's going to help.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I do think that
film study, Jameis, film study. That's what'll help.
How much more film study do you think? Yeah, because I think he's a very diligent human being, right? Jameis Winston. I just think that's it's like Brett Favre. Like, that's just something that you've been. Maybe blessed is a bad word to use here, but that's one of your character traits, bud, is pick sixes.
I hear you. I'm just going to say, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but I mean, if that's all it took to make better teams was praying or whatever, then there wouldn't be any practicing or whatever. Everybody would be going to church instead, we would have to,
football would be on Mondays instead of Sundays.
That's why I'm saying film study, Jameis. I mean, the pick sixes, well, you'll correct that by you fixed your eyesight with the LASIKs. You thought that corrected it. You still got it going on, buddy. You got to do something else, man. You got to figure it out.
There you go. 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and we'll see how it plays out, man. I think I like the Steelers in this game being at the house, and the Browns might need this win more, but I don't think that they have they don't have a legitimate shot anymore to win the division. Maybe a mathematical shot, but not a legitimate shot. So I like the Steelers to win this game, and where I'm struggling at is do they cover the 6.5 though?
That's tough.
Do they win by
defense? Man, that is kind of tough. I don't know what the weather's going to be like, so because of that, I would say, yeah, they'll cover it. Be a touchdown.
All right, there you go. The next game on the list is going to be a snooze fest as far as records are concerned. The Jaguars are 2-10. They're going to be taking on the 3-9 Tennessee Titans up there in Nashville, and the Titans are a 3.5-point favorite, and the total sitting at 39.5. Your first initial reaction to this game?
No Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones will be throwing the ball. Yep. Trevor Lawrence is on the IR, so he won't be back until like the last week of the season, I believe, if at all. And then Will Levis for y'all, Mason Rudolph.
It should be Will Levis.
Will Levis. So, I would say
that's how I got.
If you're gonna make me, pick, and if I'm gonna have to put money on this or anything, I'm gonna have to take Doug Peterson, Mac Jones. Man, I think that's a safer bet than taking your boy Will Levis and the Titans. So yeah, and who's it, Callahan, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Callahan.
I got a lot more faith in Dougie P and Mac Jones. So I just by saying that, I would say give me the Panthers, or not the Panthers, the
Titans.
Jaguars. I'm sorry, Jaguars.
Jaguars winning?
I think they're going to. I say give me them. I think with Mac Jones, I think Doug Peterson, I got more faith in those guys. So because of head coach and quarterback, I'll take the Jaguars.
The Jaguars have 9 straight road losses going all the way back to last season, which is the longest active streak.
So they're due
in the NFL, right? Exactly. Great point there. My dad's listening all the way from Freeport in the Bahamas. They're going to be pulling out shortly here on their cruise, so he's going to have to tune out. But you can always tune in wherever you are. Doesn't have to be on the radio. What do you mean?
That port is not free in the Bahamas. You know what I mean?
Well, you can get the app, and it is free. The app is free. Just go to your Google Play or your App Store, your Apple Store, type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, and take us with you wherever you go. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Quick timeout. We'll be right back with more NFL coverage.
Your home for college football. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This Saturday, it's a college football triple header. Start the day with the Big 12 Championship. It's Iowa State versus Arizona State. Coverage starts at 10, followed by Georgia versus Texas in the SEC Championship at 3. Then Saturday night, it's the ACC Championship game with Clemson versus SMU. Kickoff at 7 on your home for college football. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, mostly clear and a temperature of 54 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the north-northeast. Mostly clear skies tonight, a brisk wind and above freezing near 39. Mostly sunny and 60 tomorrow. 67 and some sun with a light breeze Sunday. Monday, light sprinkles and a temperature a little warmer at 75. This is your Friday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
If you spend any time at all in your yard, you're going to encounter fire ants.
We know they can ruin a party. That's why we're this area's experts at fire ant elimination.
As your certified top choice professional, we will rid your yard of these unwanted invaders. Brock Pest is so sure they'll get rid of fire ants that they offer a 1-year guarantee.
Enjoy your yard fire ant free. We guarantee it. Give us a call for your free consultation.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting yours since 1968.
Attention homeowners, are you dreaming of a backyard oasis? Look no further than S&R Fencing, your go-to destination for quality outdoor transformations. At S&R, they specialize in crafting custom fences, decks, retainer walls, and all exterior construction that not only enhances the beauty of your home, but also stands the test of time. Their experienced team takes pride in delivering top-notch craftsmanship with a personal touch. S&R Fencing, locally owned, licensed, and insured, and a member of the BBB.
Who was hired? Who was fired? Trades, drafts, and playoffs. We're talking about it.
That trade, when it was made, was the right trade.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, right here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Oh, I feel like I'm listening to the Dan Patrick Show right here. We don't want to work. We just want to bang on the drums all day here. David Hayes, Caveman Rick, Bone Crusher. This is the Afternoon Underdogs. You're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. And we've got the Holland Hearts Magic Express coming up soon for you guys. So make sure that you're tuned in to the app that I just told you guys about and how you can go get it. Just go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And then keep listening there for details. It'll be the Magic versus the Kings. And that game will be March 29th. And the Magic will play right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Tipping off right at 6 o'clock against the 76ers. Keep it locked in to ESPN Northwest Florida after the Afternoon Underdogs. We left off talking a little bit about the Jaguars and the Titans. I think that the Titans are a better football team this year than what the Jaguars are. I think that the Mac Jones, though, is in a situation where he's playing for not his football life per se, but maybe getting that resurgence. Maybe some team
might be playing for a starting job in Jacksonville.
100%. I mean, he's right there from a high school. That's where he played high school football, was at Bowles in Jacksonville. So, yeah, and here's a little betting nugget for you guys there for that game. The Jaguars are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games. And Mac Jones, though, is 3-4 against the spread in his past 17 starts. So does that change things up? I do believe that it does. I think Will Levis and Calvin Ridley have found a little bit of a connection, some chemistry there. So I do think that the Titans win this game, and I think that they cover the 3.5. And, you know, I haven't been high on the Titans at all this year, but I do think that they end up winning and covering those 4 points.
Right on. That's fair. I would think if I was going to do something on this game, I'd probably bet like on both quarterbacks throw a pick.
I think that's a wonderful idea. I think both quarterbacks will throw an interception. Now, this game, the records are still under 500, but they're not as bad as what the Titans and the Jaguars are combined. And you guys can call in and text about any of these games, 850-215-6290 here on the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. The Jets come in with a record of 3-9, and the Dolphins are 5-7. The Dolphins are a 6-point favorite, 5.5, and the total is sitting at 44.5. And the stat to know for this game is that Aaron Rodgers has 34 consecutive starts with fewer than 300 passing yards. No other quarterback has an active streak of at least 20 starts with less than 300 passing yards. Let me ask you this. I know that it's way too early to really be talking about it, but it's one of those storylines that captures or captivates the minds of us NFL fans. Is Aaron Rodgers is he done? Because I think I know your answer on that, but is he going to retire after this year, or do you see him playing another year?
I think if he was smart, he'd walk away. I mean, unless he was to walk into another situation someplace where basically he's walking into a winning situation where he wouldn't have to do a whole lot, wouldn't be expected of him to throw for, say, 300 yards every game, then maybe. But I just don't see it right now. I think, he's hit the proverbial wall. After that Achilles injury, we've seen him coming back. He doesn't seem to have that same energy spark or whatever that he normally has. Seen him talking now too, obviously with the losing record and they're out of the playoffs. Don't want to say dejected, but you can tell he ain't feeling it right now. Like I saw him on McAfee the other day, and he definitely was being real demonstrative, had an attitude, running his mouth, cussing a lot, and you can tell it's getting to him. But I'm sure he's hearing it, from a lot of people.
I think unless you're a Jets fan, you kind of like to see Aaron Rodgers in that mode, right?
I mean, it's kind of nice seeing him like that. I like when he's jovial too and he's joking around and kind of being a smart ass and stuff,
He's more of a fun character at that point in time, like Tom Brady in Tampa. But yeah, it's like, hey, you reap what you sow. You gotta lay in that bed you gotta lie in the bed that you made.
Right. I'm sure he'll drag it out there during the off season, get a lot of attention, go on another darkness retreat or some other kind of field trip or whatever you want to call it like that he's going to go do to try to help make his decision up. So he'll keep everybody, laying awake. Oh, is he? And somebody like Mike Greenberg will be sweating bullets, if he's going to have Aaron Rodgers or, somebody else. What's your other option going to be, though, too?
Yeah.
There's not much coming up in the draft. You are going to have probably a decent draft pick. You're probably going to pick, maybe in the top 12, top, 13, maybe somewhere around in there, maybe a little better than that. I don't know, because we still have a few games left to play. Mm-hmm. And just because you're not playing so great right now doesn't mean you just can't win some games towards the end and, put yourself in a little bit worse of a situation. Doesn't mean they can't lose some more too, but depending on the rest of their schedule and how things play out, there may be some teams in the same boat as them trying to get a better draft pick as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick. I think we're looking at top 7 pick. As it stands right now, the Giants are sitting there at 2-10, along with the Jaguars and the Raiders. Then you have the Patriots at 3-10, the Titans at 3-9, the Jets at 3-9, the Browns at 3-9, and then over in the NFC, you've got the Carolina Panthers at 3-9 as well. So, a top 10 pick for sure. But
awesome.
What's the court like? You're not going to get Shedeur unless you're number 1 overall. So you're going to have to trade into that, and then also, do you even risk? You should 100% draft a quarterback, but do you risk ticking off Aaron Rodgers to almost guarantee yourself that you're going to have another bad season?
That helped, though. The last time a quarterback was drafted behind him was Jordan Love, and he actually won the MVP that year afterwards. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it takes. You light a fire underneath his rear end, and maybe that's what motivates.
There you go. James Kelly says, by the way, the Lions and the Bills play on the 15th of December. Is that a Super Bowl preview again?
Where's that game being played? If it's at the Bills, probably give that one to the Bills.
All right.
You got a dome team going to be going out to Buffalo in December, mid-December, late December, what have you. I would probably,
Let's see where that game is going to be played.
To my knowledge,
it's going to be Detroit. It's
going to be in Detroit. Well, then Detroit's got an opportunity there. I think that's going to be their saving grace. If they get home field throughout the playoffs, Detroit's got an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. If they don't, and then I'm going to say that the first time they play outside, they're probably going to have issues.
Okay, there you go. I don't think it's a Super Bowl preview because, again, I think while these teams might be the class of their conferences to an extent, again, Chiefs for me over what the Buffalo Bills are doing and Detroit Lions, I would have the Eagles there. I think that we could be looking. Wasn't it the Eagles and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? What was that? 2000,
a couple years ago.
2 maybe.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
I think that's what we're going to be looking at as a Super Bowl preview if we get to, and we're not going to see that this year, right? I don't think that the Eagles play the Chiefs in the regular season.
No.
Yeah. No. So. I know one thing though. It is going to be a wild ride, and I think that we're at that point now where the Chiefs in their dynasty run, everyone's rooting against them unless you're a Chiefs fan, right? I think I'm the lone one. Like, this dynasty hasn't rubbed me the wrong way just yet. I think that if they win this year, 3 in a row, first team to ever do that, then it's like, all right, I'm putting all my chips, not betting wise. I'm not going to be dumb enough to bet against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm going to start hating them at that point. But right now, for some reason, I think that I think I'm in the very small minority here that that they just don't bother me. Like, I think that they're not as pompous maybe as some other dynasties
really? Because I kind of think they are.
And that's why I almost second guess when I say that. But I think maybe it's the youth of Patrick Mahomes. Maybe it's the, like the Taylor Swifting just doesn't bother me like I think it bothers a lot of other people. And I think that that's just an element that if you're using that in your argument, like, that's kind of lame to me. You know what I mean? That you don't like the Kansas City Chiefs because Taylor Swift is a part of the conversation.
I would
there.
this is the aspect I don't like.
Right.
Okay, I don't like the fact that they make it a spectacle, like that, as part of the pregame, want to show her entering, yada, yada, yada. Like, it's, who cares? You know what I'm saying? We're here to watch football. That's the first and foremost, right? I don't care about a pop singer coming into, watch something, unless it's like, okay, you're watching a game and all of a sudden there's somebody there that's not normally there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's somebody that's there every single week, I mean,
it's like showing Spike Lee at the Knicks game.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Jack Nicholson at a Laker game or something like that. It's like, these guys are always there. You're showing us you're showing LeBron James on the court. I don't need to see that. I already know who's there. You know what I mean? So that's one aspect I don't like. The other thing I don't like too is anytime Travis Kelce makes a catch or a play, then they want to go to a cut of her, and see her cheering. Well, that's fine and everything, but then do this. When he fumbles the ball or looks like a dope, then show her too, and show her with a sad look on her face, or show that reaction. You know what I mean? Play both sides of it. And I would to me, I would have more respect for it and for the networks and stuff if they did it that way and you got to see all the aspects of it instead of whenever it's convenient to show somebody cheering and being happy or what have you and going nuts. Show it all so we can see Taylor Swift with a frown on her face too, or maybe crying.
Always for the negative, my guy.
I'm just keeping it real, man. Life's not all about being gumdrops and lollipops, man. There's a lot of sad stuff in life, I
agree with that.
So what are we teaching everybody, too? That everything in life's going to be about cheering and being happy. I mean, in every game, there's a loser.
I do think that that's a very important aspect of life. We were actually talking about that earlier today here after the Inside Drive off the air. Of course, hey, life's not fair. What's your quote on fairs in life?
Fair is a place where you judge pigs and pies.
Pigs
as in getting blue ribbons and such.
Hey, that's Ryan, if you're listening, if you do happen to be listening, that's another t-shirt idea for our t-shirt adventure that hopefully we get on one day. But pigs and pies, that would just be it. That's the t-shirt, pigs and pies. Then maybe put something on the back about life's not fair. Betting nugget for the Jets and the Dolphins, and this is a huge game. This is a pivotal game for the Miami Dolphins because they're in a position where they really can make the playoffs if the Denver Broncos decide to stumble a little bit, right? They've got 13. If they win, it will increase. Their playoff chances will increase to 13.8%. But if they lose, it will drop all the way down to 2.3%.
So what you're saying is they're not making the playoffs. If you win, it's at 13%. Still, you're not making the playoffs.
That's almost a fair point, but we also see teams struggle down the stretch,
I hear you, but
do we believe the Denver Broncos to stay on the path that they're on? I think for the most part, but that's also going to be dependent upon the schedule, right?
Yeah, and the schedule too. And every day that goes by, guess what? We're getting further and further into the year. It's getting colder and colder outside. So good luck, Miami.
Good point there. The Jets are 0-3 against the spread as underdogs this year, and they're 2-9 against the spread in their past 11 games as underdogs. So do with that what you will. Next game, I think a storyline of the week, Falcons and the Vikings. Falcons come in with a record of 6-6. It's Kirk Cousins' go time.
Kirk Cousins Bowl.
Yeah, the Kirk Cousins Bowl, right? He's headed back to Minnesota. The Vikings playing phenomenal football this year. Underrated to an extent. They were maybe overhyped at the beginning of the year. Not going into the season, but just after they beat the 49ers, it was my goodness, where'd this team come from? I was on the hype train prior to the season going because I'm a big proponent of Sam Darnold. I'm a Sam Darnold supporter. Vikings are 10-2. They're doing that pretty quietly because of how well that the Detroit Lions are playing. The Vikings come in with a 6-point favorite, and the total sitting at 45.5. And Kirk Cousins, really in the last 3 games, has looked abysmal. Is it time for Raheem Morris and the Atlanta Falcons to turn the ship over to Mike Penix?
They're probably going to pump the brakes on that. They still have a playoff chance. The division's 500. They can still win this division, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have a chance to win the division, to host a playoff game, you got to try to do that. It's about putting money in your pocket, owner's pocket, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you go, start the season wanting to win the division. So I think you got to win the division. You got to keep them in there until you don't have an opportunity to do
We've got more on this game when we get back, kicking off hour number 2 with a little bit more here on the Falcons and the Vikings. I got a stats to know for you and a little betting nugget to go along with it. Keep it locked in here to ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The magic plays here.
Tonight, we're going to take you to the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia as the surging Orlando Magic play the struggling 76ers. Tip-off coming up tonight at 6. We'll have live play-by-play for you right here on your spot for the Orlando Magic.
Your new home for select Orlando Magic games. The NBA is on. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The rest of the day, mostly clear and a temperature of 54 with wind 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the north-northeast. Mostly clear skies tonight, a brisk wind and above freezing near 39. Mostly sunny and 60 tomorrow. 67 and some sun with a light breeze Sunday. Monday, light sprinkles and a temperature a little warmer at 75. This is your Friday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Dat Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at Dat Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at Dat Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, Dat Cajun Place.
Northwest Florida's home for college football bowl games. WGSX Lincoln and WVLQ Port St. Joe.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Powered by Panama City Toyota.
We are back. This is hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher. The NFL plays right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Had a good one last night between the Lions and the Packers. And you had the Packers in that game, which is not a bad pick at all, right? And not a bad pick at all.
I wanted the upset. I'm a fan of whoever the Lions are playing the rest of the season. Let's put it that way.
That's how it's going down.
Hell yeah, man. Because they got one win above us right now. In the NFC. I want us to have home field. I think if we get home field, it's a slam dunk. We're going to finish off a lot of teams. I want that advantage. So yeah, why not?
There you go. Well, this week on ESPN Northwest Florida for our NFL coverage, it's going to be the Browns and the Steelers coverage starting at 11 a.m. for a 12 p.m. kick. Then it'll be the Bears and the 49ers. You think the Bears got a shot here against their immune system is very weak right now, the 49ers,
yes,
right?
I believe the Bears, if they had an opportunity.
I don't think so.
Really? You don't, huh? Dude, no Eberflus, man. When coaches get fired,
yeah, that's a good point. That's a great
back, man. They just you're playing for your job.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's playing for their job. I don't care who you are, even if you're a first-year quarterback.
I'm talking for my job right now.
Like a guy like Caleb Williams. I mean, the next, incarnation of the team that comes in, coach, or whatever, we don't know. How long is GM? Ryan Poles?
Ryan Poles. He was
at least a few years now, right? That's what I'm saying.
Maybe
so
5. He was there before
might not be
Eberflus.
safe because he hired Eberflus, right?
I think he is safe.
You think so?
I think that he's safe for the next hire. I think that as a GM, you should get 2 head coaching hires, depending on how long that head coach lasts. But let's say that you misfire on your head.
And that's fair.
And I think as a coach, you should get 2 quarterback cycles.
That might be fair. It depends on the coach, though. If you Urban Meyer it, you don't deserve anything. You know what I mean? It depends on what you do. Right?
You should have been. Urban Meyer should have been fired in preseason.
You know?
As soon as he hired Tim Tebow, as soon as they signed Tim Tebow, he should have been fired right there. And, hey, listen, I was a guy who thought I really thought that Tim Tebow deserved a longer shot in the NFL because of his presence as a winner.
It's part of it's on Tim Tebow. Now he was being demonstrative. He didn't want to try to do anything else besides be a quarterback. He could have had a longer NFL career had he wanted to, cooperate with the other teams that had drafted him and that he was on the roster of.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of Tim Tebow too now. And for a kind of guy that's supposed to be as humble as he is or what have you, well, how humble are we being, Tim Tebow, when we're too proud to step down from being a quarterback and maybe do something else to help out our team?
That's you don't have that's a valid point, and I'm not going to sit there and argue there with it, but I think that there's something to be said about someone who's a winner being your most important position. You know what I mean? Like, look what he did with the Broncos in that game against the Steelers, finding Demaryius Thomas in overtime to win that game. You know, I think there's just something about having a guy who's a winner, because that's a mindset. Being a winner is literally a mindset, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. But, too, like, then when you're not winning and you're not getting, like, what you're wanting or what you feel you're entitled to, you know? And that's the problem I always had with Tim Tebow when he came into the NFL.
Hey, there you go. And that is absolutely fair. I'm not going to argue on that particular sentiment with you. I do got to get a shout-out
now,
for you.
I will say this. Had he been a really good quarterback,
that changes the whole
when Lamar Jackson comes in, everybody wanted to become a running back, right? And try to convert Lamar Jackson. He said, no, I'm going to be a quarterback. Now, had he fallen on his face playing quarterback and he still kept saying that he wanted to be a quarterback and then didn't step down to try to play something else, I'd feel the same way about Lamar Jackson. Bears
and the 49ers, back to that real quick. I have like a little soft spot for the Bears. I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams by any stretch of the imagination. And I do got to say that I think he's done better than what I was going to give him credit for. However, I think he's done worse than what he thought he was going to do and what Bears fans thought he was going to do, because they thought, especially last year going 7-10 with Justin Fields, and then like this year has been, eye-opening. Now, the real quick, after you fire your coach and that bounce back game, they've got rid of Eberflus. Will they have that bounce back game? I think that there's a chance, an opportunity for that, but they are trash on the road. They are, whatever day it is that you roll your garbage can out there to the road, that is the Bears on the road. You might as well just have their logo on your trash can.
And that was with the current head coach that they had that's gone now. And now you have a different perspective, a different outlook, a different philosophy perhaps, and that might change how things are, handled, playing on the road. Not to mention, he talked about last season and what Justin Fields was able to do. Now, yes, they were able to have a better record and things went a little bit better for them. But preference this way, there was lesser expectations for that team last year based off the team that was built up around the quarterback and whatnot. They went into this year, the Bears did. Well, frankly, like we talked about the other day, similar to the Eagles back in, 2012 with Vince Young talking about, we're the dream team now, team. Oh, yeah, so you got a bunch of players on paper that sound like it's going to work out. Well, get your ass on the field and prove to us it's going to work. You know what I mean? That's all, big words. Actions speak louder than words, Joe.
Hey, I've heard that a time or two, and I do believe in that sentiment wholeheartedly. Bears and 49ers will follow the Browns and the Steelers, and then we'll wrap up Sunday evening with the Chargers and the Chiefs.
I still don't trust Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, man, do you think there's any chance that he loses his job this year?
I mean, I don't know about this year because of all the injuries. So you might have to give them some grace because of the injuries, okay?
Right.
But again, if they were able to go into the playoffs with the team that they got and they end up doing a choke job again, then I think there's something to that. Mm-hmm. Now, we were talking again the other day, and you were brought up about the 28-3 and about, Tom Brady and this great quarterback and how he came back and he won that game. I say not so fast, my friend. It's not so fast. It's not Tom Brady won the damn game. It was Kyle Shanahan gave the damn game away.
Dog, 28-3.
And Matt Ryan. And Matt Ryan. Sure you can, man. That's a collapse. That's a precipitous collapse.
He helped the cause. But you got to give credit. The catch by Julian Edelman, did Kyle Shanahan do that?
Julian Edelman made a catch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
So it wasn't Tom Brady.
That's the Patriot. Okay, all right.
So
Tom Brady had to put it there. The brakes have been pumped because why? Tom Brady's retired.
Yeah, and then if Tom Brady was so great, why didn't you catch the ball on your pseudo
the Philly special
that you didn't make happen? Okay?
Hey, listen, I loved that. So I know that I bet you were jumping up and down for joy. But that play really was so awesome because I think that the Philly special was even more special because the Patriots had tried it earlier in that Super Bowl and it didn't work.
And it fell in the face.
But Nick Foles, when he did it, that was for a tutty.
Cha-ching, I know.
Yeah, bro, that was a special time because after 28-3, that is when I had to say I can't argue with it anymore. Tom Brady's the best quarterback, no doubt. But anytime that you could see the Patriots lose was a very blessed day in the heart of this young man. Chargers and Chiefs will wrap up our evening on Sunday for a 6:30 coverage time start and a 7:20 kick. You think Harbaugh and the gang's got an opportunity here to knock off the Chiefs and the Zebras?
I already picked them earlier this week when we did our picks. I picked the Chargers. I think Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. I think the team's playing really well. He's got those Chargers clicking right now. Like I said, we've seen the Chiefs barely, winning by the skin of their teeth a lot of these games. I think, something to it. Jim Harbaugh is going to come out there. He's going to have his boys playing hard, and I might have a little something special for him. I think, honestly, though, the Chargers are a pretty good team, okay? More than likely, they're probably going to make the playoffs, right? As far as making a deep run, I'm going to pump the brakes on that maybe this season just because of, having a new, coach there and, expectations were kind of high. I just think, they're not going to, go all the way there this year, right?
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh usually comes in, he'll double the wins from the previous year, and have a good season, but he's not going to go to the promised land, that fast. So, like I said, I'll preference that by pumping the brakes, but I think he's going to look at this game, not like his Super Bowl, but he's going to want to make a statement, I think, here against the Chiefs if he can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make his team look good, number one. Two, he's going to let the Chiefs know, too, hey, man, over here out in the AFC West, it ain't just you guys anymore.
Yeah.
You got to deal with us.
Yeah. And here's a fun, I guess it's not necessarily a fun fact, but the truth is, right, the Chargers really downgraded when you think about their roster. They let Keenan Allen go. They let Austin Eckler go. It was we're going to start from the bottom. The fact that they're sitting here at 8-4 is highly impressive. And watch out. We see this time and time and again with Jim Harbaugh when he takes over a team, he gets them right eventually, right? He got Michigan to the daggum national championship and won that with them as well. You saw what he was able to do with the 49ers,
Stanford.
Right? Stanford. I mean,
it's Stanford when you talk about that, man. That's a smart kid school. That's a school that has the same issues as a Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. You can't get all of the players that you want because of academics alone. That hurts you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point. Now, they have had two of the greatest, but Andrew Luck and Christian McCaffrey over there at Stanford. That's
John Elway.
And John Elway, too. You're right. They've had a ton of talent pass through there, but having it all, clicking at the same time, not so much. Lynn Haven Robb says the Seahawks gave the Patriots that Super Bowl as well when they decided to pass the ball rather than run it with Marshawn Lynch, which everyone in the world knew where that ball should be going. And
Donovan McNabb probably gave one away to him too.
Oh,
throwing up in the huddle.
Yeah.
having issues.
And if T.O. was actually 100% healthy.
Yeah, if he didn't have the broken leg, I mean, who knows? Well, here's the thing,
What about Jake Delhomme?
And you know what? No, let's pump the brakes, too, for back then.
Pump them!
Because we're talking about all these accolades to the Patriots. Yeah, maybe if they weren't taping people's walkthroughs. Let's talk about that, and then maybe if they weren't doing that, maybe things would be a little different, too.
I can't argue with that one.
Like everybody wants to crush Connor Stallions and the Michigan Wolverines. How different was that?
Yeah, that's
nothing different. Same thing.
That's a good point there. Let's see here. Also, we've got a shout out from Eric with an A. He says, want to say, what's up, brothers? Much respect to Caveman Rick because he keeps it real all the time.
All the time, man. 100%. Whether it's on the show, in real life, what have you, man.
Even on social media.
Oh, yeah. That's supposed to be. Check it out.
Even more so there.
Yeah, man. Hey, you want to find out? Hey, you know what they say about
FAFO?
That's it, baby. That's it, man. That bell curve, if you will.
Yeah.
Look out, baby.
Yeah, watch out sometimes for this man right here. This is someone that you don't necessarily want to get on the bad side of. I found my way on the good side of him.
If I love you, man, I'd do anything for you. You get me on the wrong side and look out, man.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how much of a, when you're on their good side, or when you're on Caveman Rick's good side is, he's got a side of him, a softer side that people don't really ever get to experience. You just have to, bust through
That's
about
how most people
30,
should be, man.
30
most people should keep it real, man. If you're good to them, they should be good to you. You do them wrong, then, don't expect if they do you wrong.
Hey, yeah.
And then if you thought about that, like in life, I think world would be a better place if you had to worry about, consequences sometimes a little bit more.
Well, back over there to the Falcons and the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, the first quarterback with 0 passing touchdowns and 6 interceptions in a 6-game span since Cleveland's Brian Hoyer did it all the way back in 2014.
Hot take. Falcons probably win this one.
Okay.
Kirk Cousins have a great game, and as he runs in through the tunnel, he'll be yelling, "You like that? Yeah. You like that?"
Oh, okay. I like that.
This. Okay, he's had.
So you're going to take Falcons in this game?
I think I probably would. I mean, I'm thinking, he used to play in Minnesota, so this is going to mean something to him. He's had, a few bad games now in a row, so he definitely wants to right the ship there. He's hearing about it. He doesn't want to be looking over his shoulder at Michael Penix, right?
Right.
So what better way to get right than going against your old team where you got some motivation? You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
So
sentiment.
I think because of that, you might see a better game out of the guy. So yeah, all things being said, I mean, if you're going to do it, this would be the best time to do it.
The host of the Inside Drive, Ryan Mulvey, texting in, says Brian Flores will own Cousins. They've got a good defense. Obviously, they've got that 10-2 record. Minnesota obviously knows a little bit about what Kirk Cousins brings to the table.
He knows what they bring.
But it's almost like who was it that we were talking about? The Jaguars being due, right? They've lost a ton of road games. They've been terrible against the spread. I think that's maybe that's the situation here. And I think that this game means more for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons than what it does to Vikings. But man,
it still means a lot to the Vikings.
It does.
If the Detroit Lions lose a game or two, then they're right there winning the division.
100%. But it's the Vikings are a franchise, whereas Kirk Cousins was a part of that franchise. So I think that the chip on his shoulder is a little bit bigger than the chip on the proverbial Viking shoulder.
And don't forget too, like where we're at, and we haven't really seen it this year like we did last year. Now with all the extra games, just remember these teams right here. They're one, broke rib, one sprained ankle from the quarterback away from, not being having one loss to like being a 500 franchise,
Yeah.
Like imagine if Jared Goff was out, right, for the Lions. I don't even know who their backup is right now, to be honest with you. So like they're, what I'm saying?
For the Vikings?
No, for the Lions. Like if Jared Goff were to get hurt, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know who their backup is. We know McCarthy is with the Vikings, but I don't know if he's still injured or not. If he can play.
Yeah, he's not playing. I'm curious as to who the line, because it's Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker. Okay, so you got faith in Hendon Hooker to actually go out there and do what like Jared Goff
do what Jared Goff has been doing,
protecting the ball and get the wins. That's what I'm saying.
No.
So like all
but
these
you have
teams,
so much talent around him, though.
I don't care. Still, your quarterback still is handling the ball every play.
I think when you have those trenches lined up the way that the good teams in the NFL have those trenches lined up, you can put can get away with backup.
I'm an Eagle fan, dude. I don't want Kenny Pickett.
Well, no one does.
Throwing the ball, you know what I mean?
Pittsburgh was glad he left.
So you insert Kenny Pickett and you take out Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles aren't what they are right now, like we talked about with Saquon earlier and him being missing. So you take out Jared Goff, you take out Sam Darnold for the Vikings, you know what I'm saying, and insert whoever else you want, and the equation changes. You're not going to get the same results. So like I said, and with all these games that we're playing, actually a lot of these teams have been pretty fortunate that they haven't gone through the quarterbacks like we've seen last year. Last year, what was it, 62 quarterbacks, 63 quarterbacks we went through?
It was a record number, I believe.
So, I mean, this year, it's got to be like, I don't want to say half, but it's got to be at least 30 or 40% less than last year, I would think.
Which is a good sign, right?
Yeah, you would think so, because, I mean, you get more, I don't want to say competitive football, but more consistent football?
I would say even more so competitive. I would say not just consistent, but competitive as well. When you've got your guy, when it's your guy going, you know that you're going to be putting your best foot forward. And
unless like you got one team that's got their team and the other team's got
then that does dilute the competitive nature of the game to an extent. But it's still the National Football League, and we see crazy things happen all the time. The betting nugget for this game: the Falcons are 1-5 against the spread against teams with winning records this year. They're 0-4 against the spread in their past 4 games, so that's also something to monitor. If I had to pick it, let's see, what is the spread looking like again for this game? Minnesota -6. I like the Falcons with the spread. I like Minnesota to win the game, Falcons with the points.
Like I said, I think look out for Kirk Cousins, man. I think you're going to like that.
All right, there you go. Saints at the Giants. This is another, game with not so desirable records. Saints coming with a record of 4-8. Giants at 2-10. The stats know is Derek Carr has a 6-0 touchdown to interception ratio since coming back from that oblique injury back in week 9, and that is the most passing touchdowns without an interception by any quarterback in that particular span. Not a whole lot to say about this game. The betting nugget over the past 3 years, the Saints are 7-15 against the spread as favorites, but they are 0-1 outright this year in that particular statistic. Who do you like, Saints, Giants? I like the Saints, and I like them to cover 4 against the lowly Giants, and Malik Neighbors might not even be playing in this game.
Yeah, I would probably think the Saints would probably be winning this one. I'll take that one just from the quarterbacking side of it all. Giants, I'm not sure if it's DiNucci or who they're going to have at quarterback, so because of that, yeah, I'd take the Saints pretty much in a heartbeat, and easily cover the points, too.
They're going to be going Drew Lock as their starting quarterback for that game. So yeah, I'm going to stick with the Saints there, even though, I think Drew Lock is one team away maybe from, hopefully, I think, from like maybe finding a role, the Giants are a hard team to really kind of find your way in the world of the National Football League. That's true. Panthers at the Eagles. Now tell me a little fun betting fact about these Eagles when we get back. Not necessarily a betting fact, but there is a bettor who, in fact, put a lot of money down on those Eagles to take care of business against the Panthers. They're a 13-point favorite. More on that and a whole bunch more when we get back. This is the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Your home for college football. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This Saturday, it's a college football triple header. Start the day with the Big 12 Championship. It's Iowa State versus Arizona State. Coverage starts at 10, followed by Georgia versus Texas in the SEC Championship at 3. Then Saturday night, it's the ACC Championship game with Clemson versus SMU. Kickoff at 7 on your home for college football. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Friday. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low of 40 with a brisk wind at 9 miles per hour coming out of the northeast. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine with temps around 54. In the afternoon and evening, clear with a light breeze and a temperature near 60. Moving into Sunday, a bit warmer with a high of 66 and partly sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Pound the like and crush the subscribe. Follow us on social media for the latest sports news, scores, and updates. Keeping you in the game. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, ESPN Northwest Florida.
The boys are back in town. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. I'm David Hayes along with Caveman Rick and the Bone Crusher. We are your home for Auburn Tiger basketball on ESPN Northwest Florida, and they just got a huge... Oh, no, they did not. They had a huge game against Duke. I forgot Alabama beat North Carolina, but Auburn did fall to Duke. But they're having a great season still. Definitely a team to be reckoned with. Hopefully they have a good run and, are able to get through the first round. I think that they are. I think Bruce Pearl and the Tigers will bounce back from last year. They've already shown it to this point. In the season thus far, and got all the way up there to number 2 in the AP rankings, and we're still early, and we're about to get underway in conference play. The SEC had a great run against the ACC in the SEC-ACC Challenge, 14 wins for the SEC compared to just 2 losses. I believe Clemson took care of business against Kentucky, and I'm not sure on what the other loss was there, but very impressive stuff there from. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you know how good the ACC is in college basketball. But the SEC's got something to say about that, and they've got their new teams as well in that sport. Oklahoma and Texas. We'll see how they fare, as Texas is going to be playing Georgia in the SEC championship in college football, and that game will be right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to kick off tomorrow with the Big 12 championship, which is going to be Iowa State and Arizona State. Coverage will start for that at 10 in the morning. Then following that game will be Georgia and Texas, and then we'll wrap up the evening with the ACC championship, Clemson and SMU. A ton of great sporting events right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Cannot wait for it. So just go ahead and download that app and take us with you wherever you go. We left off, Caveman Rick, talking about the Panthers, who have kind of, I don't want to say have found their stride, but they've been playing a little bit better as of late, at least maybe more competitive, deeper into ball games. Bryce Young has come closer to finding his stride, but they're going up against a team in the Philadelphia Eagles who are the best second best in the NFC as far as record goes, right? And they're also going to be at the Lynx. So this is going to be a daunting task for Bryce Young. It's also going to be a heck of a sweat for one certain bettor. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Maybe he's not sweating. So as an undisclosed bettor in Kentucky went to go place a bet on the Philadelphia Eagles on the money line to win, and he put $1 million down. And when he was talking to him about putting $1 million down, he was like, "Can I put more down?" And they told him sure. So eventually he settled on dropping $3.1 million on the Eagles money line, right? So at the point when he dropped it, the Eagles were at minus 700, right? So his $3.1 million will net him $442,800 if the Philadelphia Eagles are to win, this Sunday in this game against the Florida Panthers. Kind of crazy that when he did that, that changed the money line from this, sports book from minus 700 for the Eagles down to minus 870 on top of that, right?
Wow.
So swinging that much by that much money throwing on there. So the owner of the sports book, a guy named Derek Stevens, said he told ESPN that after the bet was placed, and this is also being the largest wager supposedly ever wagered on a regular season NFL football game, he told his guys, since they took this back in the risk room, to go to work and get some buyback on the Panthers, he said, okay? And then he said, with this particular sports book being in 5 different states now, that they should have enough buyback to where they end up needing the Eagles to win. So that I guess they end up making more money, in the end. So interesting kind of thing for those bettors out there. Whether or not this guy's sweating, maybe he's got tons of money to play with. Maybe he's a diehard Eagles fan and thinks it's in the bag.
3.3, right?
The 3.1 million.
3.1, okay.
3.1 million to win just about 450,000. So it's a lot of money to put up, to get that kind of return. But Eagles should got a really good opportunity here, unless something really catastrophic happens.
Oh man, that would be a tough one. What's your biggest loss in gambling, like sports gambling?
At one time,
we always talk about the wins, but we don't ever sit here and talk about the losses.
I put a futures bet this past year on the Phillies to win the World Series. I dropped 140 on it, and obviously didn't cash in.
Oh, that would have been nice.
That would have been just under $1,000 if I would have hit.
Not only your team winning,
I think I placed that early July.
Yeah,
when they were like really hot and like really rolling.
Mine's 660.
Yeah, BYU.
BYU losing to Kansas, man. That one is so funny too, because it's like I made so much. I made like 550 in one game.
Blasphemous by you, man, betting on the Mormons.
I mean, and the thing was, it was like they're all right. At this point, they were losing. Like I didn't put it ahead of the game because if I'm gonna bet big money, you're gonna be plus. I'm not gonna do it on no favorite or anything. So they were losing the game, and I was like, all right, yeah, come on. How many times do they come? We know BYU is going to come back and win this game, because I think, what was it, BYU Utah? Yeah, that was the one. That's where I made like 550 off of them. But I was like, yeah, why not? We'll let it ride, and I'll let it ride right out of the old Hard Rock account.
That's how it usually happens.
Yeah, hey, no doubt, man. And that's for me, it's like I bet for fun. I'm not trying to get rich off of something that's just going to keep on breaking me anyway. Right. So it was a fun loss. It was one of those that right after the game, you're just like, all right, hey, look, we're going to take a nice little hiatus from this for a little while and then keep on rolling. Most people who bet, they only want to talk about the wins. They don't ever want to show the losses.
How it always happens. Everybody wants to brag about, look how much money I made. Nobody's showing you the bad beats, and look how much I lost here or there.
That's my favorite thing about the Scott Van Pelt show is how often they bring up those bad beats. But a little stat to know for the Eagles and the Panthers. With the loss, Bryce Young would be the 4th quarterback since 2000 to lose 20 of his first 25 career starts. He'd be joining Blaine Gabbert, who did that from 2011 to 2013. Justin Fields did in 21-22, and Trevor Lawrence also did that 2021-2022, and they all started 5-20. Which Blaine Gabbert had an AFC Championship appearance, right, with the Jaguars against the Patriots.
They were winning that game going into halftime too. Yeah, they had Patriots on the ropes.
Justin Fields found himself at least another opportunity. He was starting with the Steelers, and do you think that the Jaguars are going to be cutting ties with Trevor Lawrence? You mentioned earlier Mac Jones. I know that we're not talking about the Jags, but seeing his name right here and seeing that 5-20, and he was pegged as a generational quarterback coming into the league. Do you think that it's time for the Jags to cut ties with Trevor Lawrence?
I don't think you cut ties with them unless you can get something for him, because he's an asset, right? Mm-hmm. Even if even with this latest concussion thing, he hasn't had a history of anything like that. So hopefully, this won't bother him down the road. But him only being in Jacksonville, you would think there's going to be some staff out there, some coach or somebody that's going to think, hey, I could get the most out of this kid. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I'll find a way to get a lot out of him and turn this guy around. So because of that, he'll probably get another opportunity if he were to go. But your option right now is Mac Jones, right? And we hadn't seen a ton out of him. So until you truly have a way better option in another direction to go, I think you probably keep him.
A real quick sidebar here. I feel really stupid. We were talking about 14-2 SEC, ACC, and I mentioned that Kentucky lost to Clemson, and the other loss was one that I had just talked about with Auburn and Duke. That was the second loss.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah.
Auburn losing to Duke. Thanks to Ryan Mulvey for pointing that out. As soon as I'm reading that text, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm pretty dang stupid sometimes. 850-215-6290. Y'all give us a call. Let's see here. Panthers, Eagles, the betting nugget for that one. Both teams entered this game on 4-game cover streaks, which are tied for the longest active streak in the National Football League. How about that for the Panthers? So 13 is the number to cover here. You as an Eagles fan, if you were putting money on this game, do you take, obviously you're going to take Eagles money line, right? But do they cover 13 points, Caveman Rick?
13 points. In the NFL, that's a lot to cover.
Yes, it is.
It's double digits, right? Panthers are one of the, not so great teams in the league. I hate to say that, because we're going up against a weaker opponent like that, we may play down to the competition. I don't want to see that. I want us to, go out and just run them over, not even give them a chance to try to get into the game. So because of that, and it's being at home, I think we kind of need to make a statement, so I'll say we'll cover it.
All right.
I'm a little sketchy on that, though, because like I said, 13 is a lot to cover.
I'm going to take Eagles to win. I think Panthers finish within 10.
Yeah.
I think that they will sit there and cover the spread, but that's a fun little betting nugget about this game, though, the fact that both of them are on 4-game cover streaks, so it makes it a little tougher, right?
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. Someone give me some money. My Venmo is at David. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Raiders at the Bucks, a little Super Bowl rematch from when I was living down there in the Tampa area. Bucks are a 6.5-point favorite. Raiders come in with a 2-10 record. Bucks at 6-6. And the stats know the Bucks have they've had their third overtime game in 2024 against the Panthers, which was last week. They ended up winning that 26-23. One more overtime matchup would set a franchise record for a single season for the Buccaneers. Let's just ask this question. We'll keep it quick on this game because we've spent about an hour and 20 minutes and have only gotten through 3 or 4 games here. Does this game go to overtime?
Well, that's a good question. Does it go to overtime? Where's the game being played?
It's going to be in Tampa, Raymond James.
Tampa, Raymond James. No, I don't think it'll go to overtime.
All right, and let's see. Raiders, betting nugget. Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell. He's 11-2 against the spread in his career, which is the best mark of any quarterback in the Super Bowl era who's had 10 starts, at least 10 starts. That's a blow my mind type fact.
I
it's
think
against the spread. It's not about winning or anything.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm thinking it's because there's a lot less information on a guy like Aiden O'Connell, which makes it harder to to work out the spreads, for something like this with the lack of information. So, and it's kind of inconsistent. So that's probably, I would think, maybe part of the reason why.
Yeah.
For capping the game, but I could be wrong because those guys are pretty good at capping stuff.
Seahawks and the Cardinals. This is a huge game for the playoff implications for the NFC West. Seahawks lead the division right now at 7-5. The Cardinals are sitting there at 6-6. It is in Arizona. Arizona's a 2.5-point favorite. Total sitting at 44.5. Your initial thoughts on this game?
My initial thoughts are I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this game. I think that all around they got, I think the better roster, more talent, more consistent talent. As far as wide receiver, I think I think Geno Smith's been more of a consistent quarterback. Kyler Murray's been for the most part protecting the ball. So because of that, I think they have. How should I say? I don't know. Arizona's got a decent defense, right? And the offense can move the ball. I just don't have any faith in them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have no trust in Kyler Murray. I don't have no trust and faith in the franchise to do what it takes. I've seen more out of Seattle throughout the years to think and to know that I got more faith in them.
Yeah, there you go. Stats know for this game. I think I'm with you on the Seahawks. I feel like the Seahawks are the better team in this situation. I think that the Cardinals are going to benefit, though, from being at the house. Kyler Murray has been like the stock market, just up, down, up, down, up, down, and that's it's not beneficial to you as a football team when you just really don't know what version of your quarterback you're going to be getting week in and week out. Cardinals quarterback Kyler, 15 QBR, when pressured over the past 2 games after entering week 12 with the best QBR, 84.9 at the time in the NFL when pressured. So again, that kind of speaks there to the inconsistency. And so I think that it's Seattle, man, the Seahawks, a team that's somewhat underrated. I don't think that they make any noise in the playoffs.
I would say they're underrated. I think they got good running backs,
yeah,
they got good wide receivers. I mean, like I said, Geno Smith takes care of the ball. Yeah, I mean,
how about that story? That might be one of the best stories in the NFL. Geno Smith, just like his.
You're talking about this season or just his career?
Career, not this season, because I don't think there's not a whole lot to be said about this season per se. But again, flying under the radar, they could win the NFC West. And again, I can sit here and say I don't think they'll make any noise in the playoffs. All it takes is one win to ignite a daggum bonfire, and now you could be getting into the NFC Championship possibly. Like, who knows what in the world's going to happen? But I think that the Seahawks take care of business.
I mean, we've seen it happen with them before. What was it when they got in at 7-9 and Beastquake with Marshawn Lynch? So I mean, like, anything's possible. If all they need to do is get in. If they get in, look out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The betting nugget for this game, the Cardinals have covered 3 straight home games, and the Seahawks have covered 3 straight road games. Arizona's the home team. Seattle is the road team.
Got more faith in Seattle.
I'm right there with you, man. And also the Seahawks are an underdog in this game. So give me the underwater or the saltwater chicken.
Saltwater chicken.
The underwater chicken.
Same kind of thing.
That's a dead chicken.
What's an underwater chicken? Wow.
It's a gator. At least for me, that's what I call them, underwater chickens, because if you've ate gator, right?
Yeah.
It tastes like gator that's been, or like chicken that's been underwater for a little while.
Yeah, maybe so. I was going to say, what do they call them? Mahi-mahi. Like when you catch the smaller ones, they call them like chicken dolphin or whatever like that. So that's what, I guess maybe you can liken it to something like that.
I do like some mahi-mahi. It's not only is it a great tasting fish, but it's a good looking fish too, right?
Oh, they're
color?
beautiful. That green and that yellow, a little bit of blue and stuff like that on them. They're
man.
cool looking fish.
We need to get old Tim Braddock back and talk a little bit more fishing, right? Yeah, Babe Breeze bait and tackle. We're both
there you go, man. There you go, Tim.
And tackle. How about that?
That wasn't planned.
No free shout outs there, but you just got yourself one. Bills and the Rams. The Bills on the road here, 3.5-point favorite. Bills are 10-2. Rams come in at 6-6. What is the betting nugget or the stat to know for this game? The Rams, they've got back-to-back home losses. They lost to the Dolphins back in week 10, then they lost to the Eagles in week 12. They're looking to avoid matching their longest home losing streak since Sean McVay became the head coach in 2017. Now, I think with all of the roster injuries and no Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford getting a little older, the season that they had last year, I think that the Rams are doing okay, and they're vying. They're 6-6. They win this game.
Puka and Kupp were out for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that the Rams are having a better season than what their record necessarily portrays, but I think the Bills are going to be taking care of business in this game, and they're a 3.5-point road favorite. How do you feel about that? Do you think that the Bills take care of business and cover those 3.5 points?
I'm kind of iffy here. I'm kind of thinking they might not. I'm kind of thinking the Rams might take this game. I mean, the Bills been rolling pretty well, but you are talking about them, flying across the country. It is a later time though, so it's favors it maybe a little bit better for them. So it's still maybe like a noon start time, I guess. Feeling. I'm sorry, no, it's going to be 3 o'clock on the West Coast, so it's going to be like later feeling for the Bills. It's going to be like a primetime game for them. But after the big win in the snow and them traveling, I think that the Rams could kind of keep this one close, and I think they might end up winning this thing. The 3.5 is kind of a little sketchy. I think this might all end up being like a 1-point game in the end.
Hey, there you go. And we will get to the betting nugget here. The Rams 3-9 against the spread in the first quarter this season. What'd you have?
I was just also thinking about the running game of the Rams, Kyron Williams, and and all the weapons. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the Rams in this one.
You like the Rams to win?
I think there's that's a possibility. Yeah, I like the Rams covering and maybe even winning, man. So what is the record of the Bills, man? Everybody's talking about it's the record. Josh Allen, okay, he's got 22, 23 touchdowns this year, but a lot of them are rushing touchdowns, right? If he doesn't rush the way he does and he doesn't get some of those, I mean, they lose at least a few more games, you know what I mean? And the record's not so great. So, again, how we talked about if something were to happen to like a Jared Goff or something like that, one injury away, a concussion, something away, you know, the way Josh Allen likes to play football and run the ball away from an injury, and then what do you got? So, yeah, I like the Rams in this one.
I like the Bills. I like the Bills by more than 3.5, too, as well. I think that they're a lot better of a team than even their record is showing, which is wild. I think Josh Allen has there's something to be said about a team who really doesn't have a whole lot of big names on their team, but is still getting the job done on a week-to-week basis, and I think that you got to give a lot of credit to not just McDermott, but to also, obviously, Josh Allen, and then also Joe Brady as well, right? Being the, I believe he's the OC over there. Yeah, he's the OC over there.
I would give
the
him
Bills.
more credit than McDermott, to be honest with you.
There you go, and I think that's very fair. The Rams, the stats know, or the betting nugget, the Rams are 3-9 against the spread in the first quarter of this season. Rams first half unders are 9-3.
Brady's the more recent ad. McDermott's been there for a while. We've seen a little bit more success with Brady there before he got there. So, yeah, I would say Brady's probably a little bit more important to the success than McDermott.
I can agree with that. We got a couple more NFL games to go through. Then we'll go through conference championship games in college football. You are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. We're your spot for select Orlando Magic games.
ESPN Northwest Florida is taking you on the ultimate road trip to see the Orlando Magic. It's the Hall and Hearts ESPN Northwest Florida Magic Express. You'll watch the game from a presidential suite loaded with free food and beverages. To win your trip on the Magic Express, download the ESPN Northwest Florida app and keep listening for more details. Sponsored by Hall and Hearts.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Friday. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low of 40 with a brisk wind at 9 miles per hour coming out of the northeast. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine with temps around 54. In the afternoon and evening, clear with a light breeze and a temperature near 60. Moving into Sunday, a bit warmer with a high of 66 and partly sunny. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Dak Cajun Place is your LSU and Saints football headquarters. Saints and LSU fans, wear your team colors and score a free Jell-O shot when your team scores a touchdown. Only at Dak Cajun Place. Get $5 pitchers on select draft beers during all live football games. Catch all the games at once with the NFL package on 27 large TVs at Dak Cajun Place. And the best wings on the beach. The locals' favorite, Dak Cajun Place.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Tyndall Air Force Base to the Hathaway Bridge. We're live and local. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is our final segment of the week here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It's David Hayes, Caveman Rick, and the Bone Crusher. We're the Afternoon Underdogs, and coming up here in about 15 to 16 minutes is going to be the Magic and the 76ers. We've been talking a lot of NFL this afternoon here. We've got a lot of huge games in college football as well, but we'll wrap up here. Bears 49ers, your stats know the Bears are the first team since turnovers were first tracked in 1933 to lose 6 straight without committing multiple turnovers in any of those games. And the betting nugget for the Bears and the 49ers, which you can listen to right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, following the Browns and the Steelers. The Bears are 8-15 against the spread in their past 23 games as road underdogs. Moving to Sunday Night Football, this game will be also on ESPN Northwest Florida, coverage starting at 6:30 for a 7:20 kick. 8-4 Chargers, 11-1 Chiefs. The stat to know for this game: the Chiefs have won 14 consecutive games by one score or less, which is the longest streak in NFL history. How about that?
That's pretty crazy.
14 straight games losing by one score or less. Absolutely wild. The betting nugget: the Chiefs are 0-6 against the spread in their past 6 games, and no team has ever gone on to win the Super Bowl in the same season that it had a 6-game against the spread losing streak. Does that bode well, or do they break the trend?
I think it bodes well for us that don't want to see him win.
I think they break the trend, and the Super Bowl winning Chiefs do it again. We'll see how the script will end up playing out. And then Monday Night Football, this game should have been flexed out as soon as they put it on the schedule, but that's neither here nor there. You can listen to that game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coverage starting Monday night at 6:30 for a 7:15 kick. It'll be the 4-8 Bengals at the 5-7 Cowboys. What do you think about this game?
They're also doing that like Simpsons broadcast of this game, if you heard about that.
I have not heard
on
of that.
Disney Plus, which is kind of weird because it's Disney,
yeah,
right?
And that's like a Fox thing, right? Simpsons?
And that's what I was thinking, which is kind of odd. I mean, I would think that they own the rights or what have you, so I don't know how that works. But, yeah, how they've done this stuff before, like on Nickelodeon, I think with some of those games and some of the cartoon characters is going to be the same thing, but like Simpsons themed, I guess, for this game. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they're not flexing it out either. Maybe they had that planned for that. Don't know why. I mean, so what? It's Dallas. You're going to watch, scrub team play. Nobody cares. And then, sorry, Adam, but then you got the Bungles again, too. Weak defense. And, they've had a, handful of pretty decent years so far. But, again, another exercise in futility over their, course of their existence. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Somebody's got to win that game, right?
Cooper Rush in his first 10 starts with the Dallas Cowboys has a 7-3 record, which is better than Troy Aikman. Do you know what Troy Aikman did in his first 10 games as a Cowboy?
I would figure it's probably something along the lines like a Peyton Manning, 2-8.
Okay, close, actually, very close. 0-10.
Oh, okay, 0-10.
0-10, yeah. And then Tony Romo was 6-4. Dak Prescott and Roger Staubach had better. They were 9-1 in their first starts. I mean, you remember because Tony Romo had the back injury, Dak Prescott came in and just kind of set that world on fire. The Bengals have a 2% chance to make the playoffs, and the Cowboys have a 1% chance to make the playoffs. So really not any playoffs.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
The betting nugget is the Bengals are 5-1 against the spread on the road this year, whereas the Cowboys are 1-5 against the spread at the house. So I would take the Bengals not only to win, but also to cover the spread.
Yeah, I would think so
against
too.
The Cowboys.
They got a lot more firepower. Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki, Joe Burrow. Got a lot more faith in that offense actually doing something as opposed to the Dallas team.
Yeah, there you go. Playoff implications on the line tonight in the world of college football. UNLV is taking on Boise State. This will be Albertson Stadium, so it will be on the
grocery store.
Called it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking earlier too. Is that not a perfect sponsor for a blue turf field, right? The only other place you could go that would be, up there with it would be, well, I guess Walmart.
Man, go for
Eckerd.
Nah, man, if you're going to do it, dude, do it right. If you're going to go with the blue field or something that's going to stain, do Tidy Bowl. That stuff that goes in the toilet bowl and make the water blue. Do that, man. Because if you did that and you watered that grass with that, that's what would happen to that grass. It'd be blue.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. UNLV comes in ranked number 20th. Boise State top 10, sitting at 10. Boise State 4.5-point favorite. Whoever wins this game is going to be the G5 champion, essentially. Who do you like to win this game tonight? I'm going to take Ashton Genty and the Broncos.
Yeah, how can you not, man? I mean, Boise State's been on a roll. They're at home, too, on top of that. So, I mean, you got the blue turf there. It's up in Boise. I mean, we know what time of the year it is. It's cold. It ain't Vegas. I know Vegas can get chilly at night, too, out in the desert. But, man, you're going up to Boise, Idaho. So, look out. So, being said, that with that firepower that they got. And, of course, Genty, man, this could be another moment, too, for help him, get him the Heisman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he rushes for a few hundred yards, a few touchdowns, has a really good showing, that could really help him out. Not to mention, too, we were talking about Genty. He's a junior, right?
Yeah.
Talking about, my Eagles earlier, about Saquon, about, staying healthy. So, Howie Roseman. Maybe you need to get a little tandem there. Get somebody to run with Saquon. Look at Ashton Genty.
Oh man, that would be wild if the if the Eagles were able to land him in the draft. They've done such a great job. How about that the hit from Cooper DeJean to take down Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry, man, he stopped him dead in his tracks, but he did it like you. That's how you're supposed to hit him.
Yep.
You grab the legs, you wrap them up, and you take them down.
Yep, that's exactly right. Tulane and Army in the American Athletic Championship. Tulane 9-3, Army sitting at 10-1. They're ranked 24th. Tulane though is a 5-point favorite in this game, and the total sitting at 45.5. They're going to be playing this game in West Point at Mitchie Stadium. For you, who do you got in this game? I think Army wins this game.
Really? I got Tulane, man. I got the Green Wooder. Tulane's, like, the last few seasons been pretty good. We've seen them, like, have some big games. I don't want to, I can't knock Army, but, haven't really been there. You know what I mean? This is a little bit more up, Tulane's kind of alley, in a bigger game like this. Don't want to say that our guys, from the Army are going to fade in the face of adversity, because you don't want to see that, because, they're the guys defending us ultimately in the world. You know what I mean? So, but you got... And again, like I said, I don't want to be hateful or hurtful or saying this. I don't want to say you got real football players going against guys that aren't real football players. But yeah, I just think, Tulane's more, more football.
Iowa State, Arizona State. This game will kick off coverage for championship Saturday, if you will, in college football. Number 16, Iowa State. Number 15, Arizona State. Coverage starting right here on ESPN Northwest Florida at 10 a.m. for an 11 a.m. kickoff. Arizona State is a 1.5-point favorite. Total sitting at 50.5. I'm taking Arizona State in this game. I think the Sun Devils got what it takes to get the job done here. Both teams come in with a record of 10-2 and a wild year in the Big 12. Who do you got winning this game?
I got Ronald McDonald winning this game, man, because this is their colors, man. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, right? This is McDonald Bowl right here. Miles, where you at with the uniform comparisons? What do you got to say about this one? I like to say, or see what you think. But all things being said, I think Arizona State's been the more consistent team this past season. They're the team that's played, I think, better. It's at their house, too, if I'm not mistaken. So far, I'm thinking all home teams, so that's probably not going to fare well, but give me Arizona State.
All right, we'll move on to the SEC Championship. That's going to be number 5 in the land, the Georgia Bulldogs, taking on number 2, Texas. Texas is a 2.5-point favorite, total sitting at 49.5. You can also listen to that game right here on ESPN Northwest Florida following the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship. Who do you like in this one? Go ahead and tell me who you like in this one.
All right, so this is technically a neutral site, right? But it is in Atlanta, so it's more of a home field for the Georgia Bulldogs. They did beat Texas earlier on in the year in Austin, but I think Georgia, they need this win a lot more. So I think going into this game, because of that, I think I like Georgia winning this game.
Well, what makes you think that they need it more?
I think, in the rankings, right?
I'm pretty positive either one of these teams doesn't matter. For Texas, 100%, but even for Georgia, with them sitting at 10-2, if they lose this, I think that they're still.
I'm not talking about just being in, too. I'm talking about your seeding.
Where?
Where you're at, too, and your seeding. You definitely just, yes, it's going to be great to be in. You just be like, you don't want to be, hey, we're just happy to be here. You want to have the best seat that you can get, right? So, and I think Georgia, being said the way that they've played this season, the better seed's going to help you out in the long run. So I just think that they're going to need it.
A couple of notes here for the SEC Championship game. Kirby Smart, 2017, and Nick Saban in 2001 with LSU are the only 2 coaches to lose to a team in the regular season and then beat them in the SEC title game. The Game 1 winner is 4-2 in the SEC Championship game rematches, and the 4 Game 1 winners won by an average of 15.7 more points in the rematch.
I've also heard Kirby Smart's lost 4 SEC championships as of yet so far. So I mean, it's hopefully isn't number 5, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Georgia fan. So that being said, too, I don't know what the most is, but it was sounding like that was pretty high, him losing 4 SEC championships. Because I think the other people that they were mentioning might have been there, about like Mark Richt, another one that's been there for a while, had a lot of opportunities, but just couldn't get over the hump. So that being said, I don't think he'll hit number 5.
All right. I got Georgia winning this game, man. I think that they win, and I think that they actually win handedly. I think Texas's defense is stout. It's strong. There's no doubt about it. But Georgia's is not too shabby either, and I think that Georgia's offense, as much as it pains me to say, because I don't think we've seen what Carson Beck brings to the table, but I think Georgia's offense is a little bit better than
they're
Texas.
very resilient. You can get Georgia down and be ahead by a few scores, and they're still going to come back and fight.
28 of them, if you want. Penn State, Oregon, number 3, Penn State, number 1, Oregon 3.5-point favorite. Who do you got in that game?
I'm usually a Pennsylvania fan, but I mean, you got James Franklin going against Lanning. You got number 1 going against, what's Penn State now, 4?
3.
Okay. The rankings really don't matter. If you're really going to rank them as 1 through whatever, Penn State's not the 3rd best team in the land. So give me Oregon.
There you go. We got a text here from Lynn Haven Rob. I'm also going to take Oregon. I think that they finished this season undefeated, and they go into the college football playoffs smelling like roses, but we'll see if they end up hoisting the trophy at the end of the year. He says, Lynn Haven Rob says, David, do you think with Georgia playing 8 overtime game against Georgia Tech, and that emotional game is going to make them a little bit more emotionally tired and physically tired? Absolutely could be a factor, Lynn Haven Rob. 100% it could be. It could also fuel the fire a little bit for him, and I think that what Steve Sarkisian is doing, Tyler Bishop was bringing this up on Tuesday's edition of the Afternoon Underdogs, they're going to be wearing the road whites. They're going to be treating it like it's a true road game, and I think that is very smart of Steve Sarkisian. However, I just think that Georgia gets the job done in this game. I think that they win by 10 or more points. I really do. But again, I've gotten so many, as we all have, so many things wrong about this college football season. I mean, it's been a wild ride, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, dadgummit, guys. Vanderbilt beat Alabama. Final game to pick real quick. We've got to do it quick because we're running out of time. Clemson, SMU. Who do you got winning? I'm pulling for SMU to win the game. I think Clemson wins.
I'm not only pulling for SMU. I think they win. Pony Express, man.
Pony Express. Hey, the first team to beat the death penalty, right?
Yeah, well, like I said, man, what better way to come back from the death penalty and then to give the NCAA the middle fingers in the air and say, hey, we're back.
Y'all have a great weekend. Orlando Magic coming up next. We're going to have football all Saturday starting at 10 a.m. We're going to have football all day long on Sunday starting at 11 a.m. Y'all just remember, Jesus loves you, so do I. Take care. Buckle up out there, y'all.
This just in. Get the latest sports news, scores, and updates from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Follow us on Facebook for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes action, live streams, and the chance to interact with your favorite hosts.
Stay connected. Stay connected. Stay connected.
Join the conversation on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Search for ESPN Northwest Florida and crush the follow button.
I follow you on social media.
We're always here to keep you in the game.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Friday. For tonight, mostly clear skies and a low of 40 with a brisk wind at 9 miles per hour coming out of the northeast. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine with temps around 54. In the afternoon and evening, clear